Hi, I'm Evelyn Braxton from the Braxton Family Values. Thank you so much for joining us again. Today we're going to talk about budgeting your money.
Hi, I'm Beverly Hawk, and so happy you joined us once again. Please remember to subscribe and like us.
Hi, I'm Constance Moore, and I am really happy to be here.
Hi, I'm Judge Maybelline.
Oh, Lord.
Well, I can't even fake it. Go ahead. I can't even fake it. I'm Judge Maybelline from Justice with Judge Maybelline. You're tuning in to the sassy women of wisdom. Thank you for joining us as we talk about budgeting. And we're tossing first.
Well, I think I'm pretty good with that.
Uh-huh.
Budgeting my money.
Yeah. 6 children, help the young folks.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
You know, my dad taught us when we were growing up, if you make $1, you save 70%.
Wow.
And pretend you don't have anything.
Wow.
So you maintain a budget.
Mhm.
And when I raised my 6 kids, I had to. Every penny counted.
Mhm.
I didn't throw away a penny. Why? Because a penny makes 5 cents.
Right.
5 cents make 10 cents.
Thank you.
And before you know it, you
got a
have
dollar.
a whole dollar.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
so it depends on your mindset and the importance of trying to budget and save your money.
Right.
Mhm.
When I went to the grocery store, I took coupons with
Okay.
me.
Couponing, right?
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Sure did.
And so each coupon had a value.
Right.
Rather than pay $1.50 for a box of cereal, it probably was 50 cents.
Right.
So look how much you save.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Rather than going out to dinner
Mhm.
every week, I fix dinner.
Cook then. That's
Mhm.
right.
That's right.
And that's what you do.
That's what you
If
do.
you want to save money, because now look at it this way, there's going to be a rainy day in your life. You don't know when, you don't know where.
You better explain that because these young folks today don't know about
Well-
what you mean when you say it's going to be a rainy day.
rainy
We're
day.
in California. It don't rain.
Well, absolutely. But as my father taught us, there's going to be a rainy day in your life. Rainy day only means that it may be a hard time.
Right.
That you cannot make ends meet.
Right.
So therefore, you will always have something to fall back on.
Mhm.
You do not live up to every penny.
Right.
Mhm.
Because when hard times come, you
That's
may
right.
be short of money. You may lose your job,
Mhm.
or so on and so forth. You may
Right.
become ill, and
Mhm.
you can't work.
Right.
So what do? You go back and get that little little stash. How do you-
Stash.
Stash.
Mhm.
That you have,
Mhm.
and you can pay your rent.
That's right.
You can buy food.
Mhm.
And if you have children and need be, you be able to buy shoes and so on and
That's
so
right.
forth. So we don't live up to every penny. You shouldn't anyway.
That's right.
Mhm.
Don't spend every dime.
No,
Don't spend
absolutely
every
not.
dime.
Absolutely not.
I think one of the main things I learned of raising my children, and some people say you can't live on a budget, and only rich people have a budget, and that's the terrible mindset, and that's what keeps you poor and poorer and makes you poorer when you realize, when you think that only rich people live on a budget, or I can't live on a budget. The reason you live on a budget is because you want to spend your money wisely. And I tell people that's all you're talking about when you're saying live on a budget. Spend your money wisely and let it work for you. And just because you don't make $1 million does not mean that you cannot live on a budget. What you need to do is figure out what your needs are and live within what you can afford. Figure out and
That's
meet your
right.
basic needs 1st. This is the most important thing about budgeting is meet your basic needs first. Do your spending on the rent, on lights, on gas, on food,
necessities.
insurance for the car, on
Absolutely.
gasoline, and do that, lay it out first. Most people don't even know how much they spend monthly because they just spend.
Right.
And when you write out a budget and lay it out, it helps you to understand what
Absolutely.
you have to spend and what you
Absolutely.
have, what you're bringing in. My mother taught us, your father taught you save, 70%. My mother taught us rob Peter, pay Paul. I learned how to rob Peter, pay Paul. And the way you do that is you didn't have enough money to pay all of your bills this month. So all you could pay was part of Peter's bill. So you robbed Peter over here to pay Paul. You didn't pay all of Peter's one bill. You couldn't pay all of it. So because you had to pay Paul some of it. So sometimes that's what you have to do.
Absolutely.
And you just need, but you will never know what you're doing if you just spending
Right.
in cash. Some people don't like to have bank accounts. A bank account is important because it helps you budget. If you're constantly spending cash, you're not keeping an adequate record.
Right.
But now here we go again with today's technology. QuickBooks is on. You can download it and put it on your telephone. And there are budgeting tools that you can download and put on your telephone. And so you can, better than we did, we had to keep a piece of paper.
Right.
You can write down and know every time you spend something and know whether you're staying within your budget. You just got to lay it out. I worked in family law, and one of the things we had to do first to decide child support, spousal support, etc., they had to fill out an income and expense declaration. I tell you, I can't tell you the number of clients that I had when they had to go down that declaration. How much do you spend monthly for food? How much do you spend for utilities? How much do you spend for gasoline? How am I supposed to know how much I spend monthly? I said, first of all, you average it in terms of utility bills, but your mortgage is the same thing every month. Your rent is the same thing every month. You need to know how much you're spending on gasoline. And they never gave it a thought. Didn't have any idea how much they spent for each of these items each month. And that's the first thing you have to do is recognize that you do have a budget, and there are things that you have to have, and there are some things that you want to have, and you may be able to get it this month and you may not. And live within that budget. That's
right.
You keep shaking your head over there,
Exactly.
Constance, what you're saying.
Well, no, I'm in total agreement. You know, I feel that, we need a budget because we need to know what it is we need and what it is we want.
Right.
And a lot of times without a budget, myself, if I don't have a budget and I go into the store, I can go into a 99-cent store and spend $50.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Easy.
Right.
Right.
Because I don't have a budget. So I'm like, oh, I can use this and I'll buy 5 of these and I'll give it to somebody and I'll buy 5 magnifying mirrors and 10 packs of batteries at $1. Just like almost like hoarding because there is no.
Because it's 99 cents.
Because it's 99 cents.
Right.
So before years ago, we used to have John's Bargain Store, or these type of stores, and it still, takes the money away. But, I would speak to younger people today, when it comes to keeping up with the Joneses and the designer stuff, like it doesn't have to be designer. I remember when we were kids and we were poor, poor working class, put it like that. And, but my dad always believed in wearing good shoes. Right. You wore Buster Brown or Stride Right. You did not wear, they probably didn't even have $5 and $10 sandals at the time because everybody put good shoes on their children, or at least everybody that I knew. And so if it meant that I had to wait the following paycheck, my sister had to wait the following paycheck. And these days I'm so blessed with so many shoes, and not bragging or anything, I submit it very humbly, that they don't get a chance to get a hole in it. But I remember I'd get a hole in my shoe and we'd put a piece of cardboard in there until it was my turn to come around. But we got a good pair of shoes.
Right.
That's
I remember that. And I'm not ashamed of it. I'm happy. That I was able to experience that. And so, I would just say that, like Dr. Lynn Richardson always says, don't get a designer bag if you can't put that money in that bag that bag costs. So a lot of times.
Well, they're not getting the designer bags, but they're getting the knockoffs.
Well, the
and they're still paying too much money for
and
that.
Some people are. Well,
that they
I don't
can't
know
afford.
what they're getting. Yeah, but they are. And then their children. The Sweet 16. They make them like weddings, and they spending $50,000 and whatever. Saving that money for that. Instead of for the education or for investment and just insurance alone.
Right.
That's right.
Because these days now people can use GoFundMe pages to depend on people to help pick up some slack or whatever. But I remember the insurance man would come around and each week you gave him a certain amount of money, and we had insurance.
Right.
You know,
Absolutely.
so just taking care of ourselves on that budget.
That's right.
You know,
Living
all of
on a
that is
budget.
part of the
Yeah,
budget.
it's important.
It's
It's
very
so, and I
important.
raised 5 kids. My mother used to say, "Girl, you can stretch the green out of a dollar." I sure would.
So how'd
but
you
I
do
was,
that?
but I learned from her.
Oh.
My mother was always like that. She says, "That wasn't the 70, it was 60 with my mother." She says, "You got $1, you only spend 60 cents. The
Oh,
other
wow.
40 you hold on to." And so I used to watch my mother sit up and say, "Well, I'm going to do this, and we're not going to do that, and we're going to." I would watch her do that. Sit down there and think about a budget. I grew up understanding, especially after having 5 kids. You better learn how to budget, or somebody's going to be homeless. You're going to be foodless. You're going to be something less.
Out in the streets. Right.
You know, because I didn't have a whole lot of money at all. But I was one of those bartering chicks. They used to call me the bartering chick.
Now,
You know,
what's bartering? For those who don't
where
understand.
I'm about to explain that too. I had my daughters. I had 4 daughters at the time. I wanted my girls to go to this wonderful dance school. Well, 4 girls in dance school, didn't
a
have
lot.
that. But I used to teach aerobics. So the dance studio said, "Well, would you teach an aerobic class here?" Sometimes when she was able to go, say, she said, "I'm going to step out for a few minutes, and my daughter's there for a class. Could you just man the telephone?" That was exchanged for my daughter's lessons.
That's right.
I was willing
Willing.
to say, "Okay, this is going to pay for something
That's
that I
right.
don't really have."
That's right.
You know, and I would be willing to do that. And even in working, I tell young people, do not depend on your jobs totally. If you have any means of saving something outside of your retirement plan, take advantage of it. If you have any means, if the job is offering, retirement for those that do, because a lot of them aren't doing it.
Right.
Not now.
So if they're not doing it,
Get your
I remember for me, I wasn't making very much, and I had 5 kids to raise. And I remember just saying, I'm going to open a 401k. I only have $50 a month to give.
$50 a month.
Then it
Better than
rose to
none.
$100.
Right.
Then it went up to 100. You have to think, and I have a retirement plan. Yes, humbly, I'm thankful for that. But I realize the amount of that for just the living in California is minimal. You're always, and I would always tell my kids too. I would teach them, and they, to this day, my grandkids do it. I'll say to them, "Turn that light out when you leave the room, honey. DWP don't need our money." My kids now repeat that to their kids. DWP don't need our money. I have to feed kids with
Be
this money.
wise about
so
the
you leave
energy
that
you're
room,
using.
turn that light out.
That's right.
When this is going, turn it out. And so for me, I had to make sure I budgeted, or I would have kids that were hungry. And thank God we never
Absolutely.
were.
Yeah.
But I was a coupon clipper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't
You know
learn
what
how
I'm
to do
saying?
that.
I
Yeah.
just sit down, girl, at night,
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
that.
Right.
clipping those coupons. See the deals where you buy 1, you buy 2, get 3. But I'm saying,
Right.
if that's something we really need,
And
well,
when
that could savings for me. Okay,
Right.
I can do that. But just thinking in terms of trying to be your future, young people, if you're making a whole lot of money now, and even if you're not making a lot of money now, start thinking.
Thinking.
Start thinking now what you can do. You may work in your career 20, 25, 30 years. Just think if you started now
Right.
when you're young and just act like it's not there.
At 18, 19, 20,
At
21.
20,
Yes.
Right, exactly.
By the time you get of this wonderful age we're in,
Yes.
that you would have that money put away waiting on you.
Absolutely.
And so that would be the blessing that you might, like you said, emergencies can come up, anything can come up. You never know. And that was always a concern with me when I had kids. And I started working. I was working 2 jobs for almost 30 years.
You worked 2
started
jobs almost 30 years?
Yes, I did. I worked 2 jobs for the school district for 30 years. If they had
Wow.
the intervention program, I worked that. The days when they had summer school, I didn't take off. I worked summer school. Times when they were, I worked with neglected and abused. I worked in a group home for boys
Yeah.
and teenage boys. I've done that. There was another center for abused women. I did that. It was associated with the kids, for the school, through the school district. I worked after work.
So do what you have to do
I
in
did.
order to take care of your
Of your
family.
family.
Thank you.
That's
But then there was some
but
money.
don't call that extra money.
No, that's not extra.
No,
Right.
no, it's
That's
still
not extra.
working.
That was
Yeah.
much needed money.
There you go.
But at the same time, it gave me the opportunity to say, well, I could put a little of this away. A little of this away. That means it's tax-free money.
But you often hear people say, "I can't afford to save anything.
$50.
I don't have anything left to save."
If I could save, if anyone could start with $50, most plans you can start with $50. Check with your financial people.
Right.
Sometimes you can start with $20. I don't know what your program is, but I start with $50. And for me, I didn't miss it because I thought, well, this is going to pay off, and maybe eventually I can start raising up to a larger amount.
Well, I'm gonna deal with the people that make a little bit of money, and there are, because I was one of those. There, you don't have $50 left
Right.
when you pay the necessity.
Right.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Right.
What
If
I
you have
say
it.
to you, and for those who are in that position, if you save 10% off the top, just save it, and then spend your budget on the rest, and just tell yourself automatically, this is how you have it. You don't have this. You only count 90% of whatever
Right.
your income is,
That's
and
right.
put
Yeah,
that
right.
other
Yeah.
10%
Yeah.
aside deliberately every time, faithfully somewhere where you
Amen.
can't touch it, and
Right.
then budget and live on that 90%. I didn't learn that until I was way older than 19, 20, 21. When you're making money, count your money. That's
you.
one of the best ways in terms of budgeting. Most of us, when we start to make money, we don't even count. We don't balance our checkbooks.
just spend
We don't
it.
worry about how much we're
Just
spending.
spend it.
Here's another thing in budgeting. You don't need 50, 11 dozen credit cards.
Exactly.
No, you don't.
I was going to say that. So go
Get
ahead. Go
rid
with it.
of
Yes.
credit
Yes.
cards.
Thank you.
Credit card
easy.
debt keeps you in debt
Bondage.
forever.
Yes.
My father taught us this. If you can't buy it with cash, you don't need it.
You don't
Right.
need
That was
it.
my
You
dad.
don't need it.
That was my
Exactly.
dad.
Exactly.
Because, you
My
know,
dad,
and
too.
only spend on a credit card what you can pay off next month.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because that
exactly.
20-30% interest you're paying on those credit cards, you'll be indebted till you die.
Exactly.
The
It is
rest of your
bondage.
life in
Exactly.
bondage.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Interest rate.
It's
Yes.
horrible.
It's-
Oh my
It's
God.
horrible. It's so
20
high.
and 30% interest.
It's high. I can't even.
Absolutely.
Ooh,
And what I was
Lord.
going to say for me, what helped me when I was raising Lana as a child, there were always programs, always freebies. There's free things, and we have to research it. I would go
take
in at
advantage.
times and take advantage. I used to take her to plays that cost little or nothing. I put her in a program. Government. It was like a new muse type of thing. And
Right.
The dance was free. The acting was free. The drama was free. The singing, the voice. She didn't like voice because she didn't want to do the technique. But everything else she did. And I didn't care how late I hung out. I made sure she got there. Because it was an opportunity,
That's right.
So just finding a
Take
free
advantage.
things to take advantage
And
of.
that's a
they're
real good
always
point.
there. Like they'll say,
Research.
the government will say, oh, there's no longer this after school recreation and this and that and the other. But if you dig hard enough, you can find
find
it.
it.
Yes,
There
you
can be
will.
good programs out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But and also I'm going to say this, and I think we're going to have to wrap it up.
Okay.
Ooh, the time just flies when
I
you're on
know.
here. Ooh,
Absolutely.
have you subscribed to our channel so you can keep up with us? Please subscribe, because we like doing what we do, and we
do.
hope you like what
Yes.
we do. So subscribe to our channel and like us and listen to us again. But I done lost my train of thought there, because I wanted to say something very very
Budgeting.
important about budgeting.
Budgeting.
Oh, spend what you have. Don't try to live above your means.
Yes.
And
Yes,
stop
right.
comparing yourself with
To
everyone
other
else.
people.
Yes.
And you don't need to advertise. My father called it free advertising. You don't need to wear everybody's name brand clothing,
Yes.
carry all the name brand purses, the name brand watches. That is free advertising. They're not paying you to do all that advertising. Stop that free advertising, particularly when you can't afford
it.
it.
Exactly.
Live within your
means.
means.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Are we going to end with that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
All
mean,
right,
that's
ladies,
a very
live
good
within
point to
your
end with.
means. Live, but remember to take care of the necessities first.
Yes, that's
Necessities
absolutely
first. That's
necessary.
the first thing we do. All right, this has been another evening with the women, the sassy women
Women
of
of wisdom.